All right, let's keep it real, bro. You already know the bad things that happen to you when you fap to explicit content. It fries your dopamine receptors. It makes you feel a bit creepy around girls. It hurts your motivation to even pursue real women. It fills you with this weird sense of shame knowing that you don't have the discipline to cut out the habit. You already heard all this stuff. You know it. So what I want to do in this video is look at this from a different perspective, just a strictly logical perspective. So my question for you is, how many times per week do you fap? I imagine for some of you, it's literally every day. For some of you, maybe it's every other day. So let's say 5 days per week on average. And how long does it take you to do the thing between, going to your secret room, making sure no one's around, getting the different tabs open, having your paper towels ready, taking the time to actually climax, and then cleaning up and feeling like a piece of shit after? How long does that take? Maybe 1 hour per day it robs from you. So that's 5 hours per week, 20 hours per month, 240 hours per year you're spending touching yourself. Boom! And by the way, if I seem angry right now, it's because I am. I'm pissed off. This is something I've struggled with in the past, and it's stolen so much from me. Now, if you take those 240 hours and you invest them differently this year, what can that change for you? Bro, that could be what makes it possible for you to finally launch your first business and get it to 10K per month. That could be the difference between finally staying consistent in the gym and having a jacked body that you're proud of. That's a lot of fucking time. And for a second, I want you to imagine that 5 more years passes by and you still haven't kicked this habit. What does your life look like having invested another over 1,000 hours into this? Seriously, close your eyes. Envision looking at yourself in the mirror and seeing a guy who is still ruled by this thing. What opportunities has he missed? How many women has he not approached because he's feeling himself and relieving the pressure that way? What career opportunities have passed by because he hasn't had the time? And now I want you to fast forward 10 years into the future. Seriously, close your eyes and envision the guy you're gonna become in 10 years if you still haven't ended this habit. Bro, that is over 2,000 more hours of touching yourself. What is that stolen from you in 10 years? Are you becoming a lonely older guy working a job he hates, pissed off at the world, but every day he goes home and he just makes it happen like that? It's fucking disgusting, man. It's scary. If you're feeling scared right now, that's a good thing. You should be scared. You should be scared for your future. You don't need 5 more techniques to quit watching porn that you've already seen 10 times and not actually implemented yet. You need to realize the gravity of the situation. You need to actually understand what's at stake here the next time you go to your secret room. Now, real quick, there are 2 exceptions when I will play with my thing. Number 1 is if a girl's doing it, and number 2 is when I'm manscaping. Nah, but for real, bro, having a grooming routine is a very real way to make yourself a more attractive man, and that is why I decided to partner with Manscaped to be the sponsor of today's video. So 1 time per week, I'm gonna use the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra to trim my chest and abs because that's gonna get rid of that hair that's covering my muscle definition so I look more jacked. And I'm also gonna trim down around my balls because when you trim the hedges, the tree looks bigger. And this thing just shits on everything else on the market. It's got a skin-safe blade so it doesn't leave any nicks or ingrown hairs, 60 minutes of runtime on a single charge, and with the 5.0 update, it has longer, rounder, and wider teeth that make it even more effective. Now, of course, I gotta groom my facial hair as well, and that's where the Beard Hedger Pro comes in. It's waterproof for easy cleaning, 60 minutes of runtime per charge. It's got a titanium-coated blade with 20 different length options. I use this every other day to trim my neck hairs so that my jawline pops, and then once per week, I'm gonna put on the guard and trim down my overall length to keep it clean. And right now is the perfect time to pick these up because Manscaped is hooking us up with a coupon code to get you 20% off plus free shipping. And if you buy the Beard and Balls bundle that comes with both of these bad boys, you're gonna get an even bigger discount. Just click that first link in description to take your grooming game to the next level. Now, that being said, I do want to give you some direction here about next steps to take. So what I did is I asked the guys in Beast Nation what questions they had and what the biggest things they're struggling with are. And we're going to take a look at those questions now because chances are they're in a very similar situation that you are. For the purpose of this video, we're going to blur out the names and keep these anonymous. Is fapping still harmful even without watching porn and its derivatives? Doesn't it ultimately have mental health benefits? I mean, the true villain is the porn itself or the self-exploration? So I do think the ultimate goal should be to have a female companion in your life so that these urges are taken care of in a natural way with a real woman. That being said, I know a lot of you probably aren't in that exact situation right now, and you have to figure out how to operate in your current reality. Based on the research, the true villain is definitely the explicit content that you're watching, because that's what leads to developing more and more perversions or needing multiple tabs open and needing more and more of a stimulus in order to get yourself aroused. That's the dark rabbit hole. It's definitely the content more so than just touching yourself. If you're not regularly sleeping with a girl, I think it's unsustainable to just never release that urge. I think it builds up to a point where it becomes a bit of a distraction. So I would say a good rule of thumb would be once or twice per week to fap, but without the explicit content, just so that you don't turn into this like wild animal that can't focus on anything. That being said, I know there's a school of thought from these semen retention guys who would disagree with me. For me though, that just wouldn't be possible, and we got to live in the real world. Next question, how do I get out of the cycle when I relapse, and why do I get more triggers when I do? When I relapse, for some reason, I get 10x more urges than normal, and I go on these so-called fapathons. I never heard about fapathons, man, but it makes sense, and this is definitely something I've experienced myself, where like I have so much discipline for a period of time. It's almost like in a movie when you see there's an alcoholic and he goes into the bar and he's sitting there staring at a glass of whiskey or a shot in front of him, and either he pushes it away and he stays firm, or if he takes the shot and he takes the drink, he just goes on like the biggest bender and just gets so fucked up. It's like, fuck it, I broke my streak. I might as well just indulge like crazy now. And then later on, I'll get disciplined and stop again. Of course, ideally, you don't relapse ever, but that's not realistic. You're gonna have a day where there's just nothing going on in your life. You're bored by yourself. You happen to see the hottest girl on Instagram, and then again and again, the thought enters your mind. You're like, I could just go over there and do it. And eventually it happens. That's gonna happen. We gotta be real. So in these moments, you gotta remind yourself what's at stake here. It's not just, fuck it, I'll just do it again. Come back, rewatch the beginning of this video, realize how serious the situation is, and then that's when you do have to bring out some of the techniques you might have seen in other videos. For me, the most powerful technique was when I told my business partner, the homie Dave, I was like, bro, if I relapse, I'm gonna pay you $100 each time. And at that point, I didn't never fap again after that, but I got on like a 3 or 6 month streak because I didn't want to lose $100. And I know that's worked for a lot of people I've spoken to as well. Next question, should guys really stop looking at Instagram booty or TikTok girls dancing? That's not the same thing as porn. No, it's definitely not the same thing. But if we go back to the alcoholic example, if you're someone who's really struggling with this and every day you're looking at Instagram booty, it's the same thing as the guy going to the bar, pouring a drink, and just staring at it. Like, you're just tempting yourself. You're just fucking with yourself. And I know this is a little bit out of your control because when you open up Instagram or TikTok, you just see the hottest girls, and our brain did not evolve to be tempted like this, potentially hundreds of times per day. So a little hack that I do is I'll go into my explore feed, because let's be honest, this is where you're seeing these girls. And when I notice the feed starts to build up to be hot girls again, I'll just long hold on the post and say not interested, long hold on the post and say not interested. And I'll go through and do this for any of the, I'm not trying to report this girl. I'll go through and do this for any of the potentially triggering materials, and that'll cleanse your feed again, and it should get rid of all of that type of content. It's probably gonna creep its way back in, but it's a good little cleanse to do. All right, next, going cold turkey is hard. Is there a step-by-step progression I could try? Like first, no porn, then no insta-hot chicks, then just imagination, then stop. He's kind of thinking like progressive overload in the gym, but for nofap. So I'd be curious, drop a comment if you've ever experimented with this before. It's not something that I've ever explicitly heard of or tried, but it seems like actually a good idea. Like right now, if you're in a really dark spot where you're struggling to stop, I think maybe this is a good thing. Rather than watching porn, just look at some Instagram hot girls, fap like that, once or twice a week. It's a strange thing to recommend, but if you're in a really tough spot, that might be, if you just try to go straight to your imagination, it might not be possible. It just might not be enough of a stimulus to get you aroused. But if you go to Instagram hot girls and do that for the next month, and then after that, go to only your imagination, that actually seems like it could be effective. Low-key shout out for the good question. Next question. Is the reason that you can't get a girlfriend because you are pedestalizing them with corn? It definitely could be, but it's not like you're gonna kick this habit and then in 2 weeks from now, like all the hottest girls are just gonna show up knocking at your door like, yo, I heard you're on nofap now. Are you free next week? Let's meet, let's talk. Of course, a lot of things play a role in how appealing you are to the opposite sex. How you present yourself in terms of your body and your style, how successful you are. That's something that women are programmed to find attractive. The higher up you are at your career, or if you have your own business, those things are going to be very powerful attractors. But I will say that nofap, I do think, is actually low-key a big ingredient, because when I was at a stage where I had no control over this, first of all, I was just a lot less likely to actually approach a girl, because I think in the back of my head, I just knew, like, man, this is a lot of work. I'm going to have to face rejection and then set up a date. And then even then, I'm probably not going to get her home, versus I can just open up the laptop, pop, be done with this in 10 minutes. It creates like a sustainable strategy to never need women in your life. Once I'd finally quit it though, now that energy would start to be pent up inside of me, and then I'd be at the gym and there'd be a smoking hot girl and I'd be like, I can't let this opportunity go, because man, using my imagination alone is not that fun. It kind of sucks. So let's approach this girl and see if we can make it happen. It adds a lot more of a burning reason to make something happen with the next girl you see, versus if you're just dealing with those urges on your own. Like all of a sudden, the approach anxiety doesn't seem like that big of a deal, because I'm turning into an ogre inside, bro. I gotta figure this out. That all being said, I hope this video challenged you a little bit and challenged your mindset about how you're looking at this part of your life, because maybe it seems like something you can just compartmentalize and keep doing and sustainably grow, but that's not really the case. This is gonna fuck you over. It probably has already stolen so much from you the last few years, but if you don't get it handled, this could be the difference between becoming the type of guy that you want to be and having the lifestyle that you want and not ever reaching that. This very well could be the deciding factor. If you're serious about getting this handled right now, then you need to watch this video next. It's about 7 attractive hobbies every guy should learn. Let's be real, boredom is one of the biggest triggers that allows this to keep happening, and by picking up some attractive hobbies that keep you busy and allow you to grow, that urge is going to become a lot less. Click there to watch that now. If you're new to the channel, click down there, because I drop 2 new videos every single week. You don't want to miss them. I'll talk to you in the next video. Stay beastly.